Please get comfortable as I regale you with the story of two hunts. First off, we are heading to my local Carboot, then we are heading to a lesser known video game franchise, Baseo. Hello again folks, and welcome back to another live game hunting video, and yes, it is finally time. We are back at the Carboot, but that's not all. We're also hitting up one of the lesser known game shop franchises here in the UK. I absolutely love hunting at the Carboot. For me, it is the very best place to hunt for video games just because you never ever know what to expect. And you know by now, I love to help as many video game stores as possible, and normally I go to a lot of CX stores, but there are other franchises here in the UK, and today we are visiting Baso. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and please subscribe, as I put new videos out every Saturday live at 5, as well as bonus content throughout the week, and I really want you folks along for the ride. Now, let's hit the Carboot. Here we are then, bright and early on a Sunday morning at one of my local car boots here in the fine city of Norwich, and this one does actually go on all year round because it is on a park and ride, and I guess because it's hard standing, if the weather's decent it goes ahead. And honestly, I've had such bad luck with the Sunday weather recently. This is one of the first car boots I've been to in a very long while, so I've got high hopes for this one. And straight off the bat, we have found the motherload of Pokemon stuff, and more specifically, it's Pokemon cards for just £1 per pack. But here's the thing, I'm not sure if these are legit or if they're reseals or anything, and £1 to me just seems too good to be true, so I did pass on these. But let me know, maybe you have a better pokey eye than I do. Can you tell if these are real or reseals? Let me know in the comments down below. If they're real, then I definitely should have picked up some of these for £1 each. Moving on then, you can see it's a really nice Sunday morning here, but this is one issue with the kind of winter months at the Carboot. Of course it is very cold and it can be kind of like damp in the mornings, so I found this Rock Band keytar, or keyboard, I prefer keytar, sounds way cooler, and I was very interested in picking this up because you see the guitars quite often but you never see the keyboards, and I'm sorely missing this from my Rock Band. Now this was a little bit damp, you can see here the box is pretty much sodden, so I was concerned of whether this was going to work, but spoiler alert, it is all fine. How much is this one, please?
5.
Would you do 4 at all? We have our first find of the day, £4 for a Rock Band keyboard, which I think is a really good deal. Now, I really loved seeing these really big kind of movie displays, the kind of displays that have been in the foyer of a cinema or like at a video store. God, that really sounds old. But yeah, this is really cool, but I literally have nowhere to put this, but definitely really cool to see. I have no idea on the price, but let me know in the comments down below if you would have picked up this massive, massive Avengers display. Here is one fact about the car boots, and love it or hate it, you never know what you're going to find. You can go to a car boot and just see things you've never seen before. So you'll have stalls like this which are just covered in kind of old toys. You'll have people selling clothes, sometimes electronics, just any kind of thing. You just never know what you're going to find. And for me, this is what I love about the car boots, just never knowing what could be just round the corner. So you have old toys and you have like a stall just of collectible cars here. It's this kind of eccentric nature of the car boot which makes it fantastic to hunt. Now for me personally, when I'm at the Carboot, I am mainly looking for video games and of course any kind of cool retro collectible kind of items that I like. But here's the thing, of course there is a lot of money to be made at Carboots, finding things to flip either on eBay or to sell onto CEX. And here is something I do look at quite often, is sealed Lego. Now sealed Lego, if you can get it at a decent price, is really good for flipping. I feel like I probably shouldn't have passed on this one. I think this was like £8 or something for this Jurassic World Lego, but I did pass because, I don't know, I just did. But back to video games, and every car boot, any day of the week, you're always going to find a Nintendo Wii, and honestly, unless you can get these absolutely dirt cheap, I will nearly always pass on these now. And of course, every car boot you go to is going to be filled of FIFA games, regardless of what year they are. But the main thing about looking for video games at the Carboot is getting stuck in. So here we just have piles of video games, and you literally just never know what you're going to find in here. Now, Honestly, I've built most of my Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 libraries from the Carboots, because normally you can pick these games up for like 50p a pound, and it's a fantastic time to collect for both these consoles just because you can still do it so incredibly cheaply. So seriously, if you are looking for a cheap console to collect for in 2024, I would definitely recommend the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, as these consoles have never been cheaper. Now, if you've played Fallout, you will recognise this vinyl right here from the ink spots. Now, you may not notice, but I actually collect quite a lot of vinyl records, mainly kind of punk and hardcore, but the kind of crossover with this and the Fallout games meant, yes, I had to pick this one up. Super cool artwork, and this one as well, super cool, amazing soundtrack for Top Gun, a really cool looking vinyl. I think I got both of these for like £8, which isn't too bad. I'm not exactly the expert on vinyl prices, so for me, if the price is right, I'm going to pick these up. And for £8 for these two records, I think I made a pretty good deal, but comment below. Some more video games here, but unfortunately nothing that I needed for my collection, and nothing I could kind of flip into CX for decent in-store credit. Here's the thing, I said earlier about collecting for the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. I have done so since the launch of both consoles pretty much, so it's getting to the point now where I'm finding it harder to find games for these consoles, but I do keep looking, because that's the thing, I'm always discovering more games to find for this generation of consoles. It was just such a golden age of gaming, and there was just so many good games, and like I said, you can pick these up so super cheap at the moment. Now here's something a little bit different, this kind of LCD game. Yes, these were all mainly kind of rubbish, but I find somewhat kind of quaint nostalgia for these. They were kind of terrible, but I still love them. Unfortunately, this one didn't seem to work or didn't have batteries in, so I did pass. Now here's something that's always worth doing at a car boot, going through these bags of wires. Like the number of times I've found controllers in here, or like component cables, or something that I'd need for a console or something. But it's always worth checking. Unfortunately this time it was just a lot of old random leads, some SingStar controllers and some Buzz controllers, but you just never know. At the end of the day, it's better to check. So a fridge. Yeah.
That all works, that all fires up.
How much you got in your fridge?
Very, very best for 25. You can't buy one online for less than 67 quid.
So unfortunately I did pass on that Coca-Cola fridge, because honestly, if I was going to buy a fridge for the games room, it would be of course the incredible Xbox Series X fridge, which they recently bought out. A couple of little TMNT figures here, but these ones are a little bit strange. A much bigger TMNT figure here, and one of these kind of Atari flashback consoles. Now with so many of these, they are not great, so I did pass on that one. I know I picked up plenty of these in the past, but here's something I was more interested in, these Nintendo DS games, because if you can get these cheap, some of these are really good games of course, and some of these do trade into CX for some really good money, same as the 3DS games. But here's the thing at the car boot, it all comes down to pricing. Now the number of times I've picked up games at the car boot for 50p or a pound, that's how I like to do it, but of course people can price things however they like, and unfortunately this time these were all separately priced, which probably just means the person knows the exact value of them, which no problem with that. At the end of the day, I know how much games are worth, I know how much I'm willing to pay, so unfortunately I couldn't make a deal this time, but that's how it goes with the car boot. Sometimes you just can't make a deal, so you unfortunately just have to pass. It was a shame because there were some really cool games here, but it's not a console I massively collect for, so it's not the end of the world. So onwards and upwards, let's carry on the hunt. Now this is what you love to see at the car boots, just a massive box of mixed games, and usually you can get an absolutely fantastic deal on these games because it's just a box absolutely stuffed. But the best way to make a deal at the car boot is to build yourself a bit of a bundle, so let's do that right now. I'm going to try and put together a kind of mix of games, some games I want to add to the collection, and also some games to flip into CEX, because some of these Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, even the occasional Wii game can trade in for some decent credit into CEX. So hopefully I can make enough money in CX credit that the games I want to then keep for the collection come out as free. I always check CDs because I never know if they're going to be like old school PC CD-ROM games, if you're wondering. And there was a lot of Blu-rays in here as well, which most of the time, yes, I'm going to pass on. But I'm really looking for those kind of games that hold some decent trade-in credit. Now, I did film this before the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. That's why I'm not picking these games up. This was just at the end of 2023, so the challenge hadn't yet started. Now, this is the kind of game I'm looking for. The Mega Drive Ultimate Collection for the PlayStation 3 trades in for £6 and Minecraft trades in for £8. So that's £14 in trading in just 2 games. So let's hope we can bundle up these games and kind of make that money. Okay then, 1 box down, 1 to go, and we've found some decent games so far. So the Lego games I would normally pick up. The orange box is another fantastic one for the PlayStation 3, which actually trades in for some really good money, and honestly is an absolutely fantastic game. A lot of Call of Duty games sadly don't trade in well on PS3. Got a Jumanji game there for the Xbox One. One I did want for the collection because even though it's a pretty simple game, it's actually quite a lot of fun in co-op. And another Mega Drive collection game here, this time for the PSP, because honestly it's a fantastic way to play these old school games on your PSP. Now there's something Nintendo poking around at the back here which I've never seen before, which I thought was super cool. It's like Super Mario Galaxy. I think it was a promotional DVD or something. Not entirely sure what this was, but I wanted to add it to the bundle. But here's the problem, I couldn't make a good price on this. We just couldn't agree on a price, so unfortunately this time the deal wasn't done. But here's the thing of the Carboot, hopefully another time I can make a deal. Like I said then, today's video is a tale of 2 hunts, and this is Baseo or Baso or Baseo, or I have no idea how to pronounce it. This is on sunny Southend on Sea, and this is a chain store, but I've only ever seen one of these stores before. I think that was just outside London in Stratford. So let's go inside and see what it's all about. So straight in, and it's absolutely packed with video games. Now this is the thing, at first I thought this was all going to be like modern gaming. Like you can see here we've got PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, really good selection of games here. But stick around because there is some retro here, and I love how they've made it. So the PlayStation 5 goes into the PlayStation 4 and then goes into the PlayStation 3. Never seen this Assassin's Creed game before in that exact version. That was super cool to see. And here is a game which I wanted to check because I've been trying to find a way to own a physical edition of Far Cry Blood Dragon, and I did check. Unfortunately it's not on this disc, so I did pass. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that I love myself a good steelbook, and I thought at the time this one was really expensive, like 20 quid, but this is an expensive steelbook, so definitely keep an eye out for this Prince of Persia game. I was surprised at how expensive it was. It was quite interesting to see how the prices in here compared to CEX. Now, this copy of Pokemon Soul Silver was slightly more expensive than it would be in CEX, but this was in absolutely fantastic condition. If I didn't have it in the collection, I would have been very tempted. But this right here was what blew me away about this store. Not just the incredible display here, but the sheer number of retro games in here. Like, I don't think I've ever, outside of a gaming convention, seen this many Atari games in one place. And I was honestly fairly overwhelmed by this. There is so much stuff in this glass cabinet of dreams. This is the most stuffed cabinet I think I've ever seen in any video game shop. It was literally absolutely rammed with like Atari games, tape-based games, and all of these were in absolutely incredible condition. I'm not sure if like Baso have like very stringent quality controls, but all of the games in here were in such good condition, like absolutely fantastic condition. And I definitely had to double take this one. I thought at first Turtles in Time for the SNES, 60 quid. Unfortunately it was reprinted, otherwise I would have taken this home no doubt. Even a reprinted box, this is a really good price for this game, and it's honestly, for a CIB game, is one of my most wanted items for my collection. This store was absolutely fantastic. I have no idea how many of these stores exist in the UK, as I tried to look it up, and honestly, the lack of information about this franchise online is quite frankly shocking. But let me know if you have one of these stores local in your area. So coming on to the last section here is the Xbox section. This is what I did like about the glass cabinet of dreams in here. It was all sectioned into like one specific console. You had a Nintendo, Sega, even an Atari section here, which was absolutely crazy. There was some really, really good stuff in here today. Unfortunately, nothing I actually picked up for the collection, but it's intrigued me about this chain. I want to find more of these stores. I know I found the one just outside Stratford, which was really cool, but it'd be interesting to know how many of these stores there are in the UK. As like I said, there is so little information online about this chain. It's quite frankly shocking, and it was really cool to see some import games here, but it's just a display cabinets. They are absolutely beautiful. I don't know if these are like actual retro cabinets or they've made them look retro, but this is one of the best ways to display video games that I've frankly ever seen in any store, and it was really, really cool to look in here. I love the way it was displayed. I just loved everything about this. This for me took me back to like how video game stores used to be in my youth. And I was absolutely loving it. An absolutely fantastic selection. And I hope this isn't the last time that I visit Baseo, or however you pronounce it. Here we are then, back in the games room from another hunt. And unfortunately we haven't got many pickups this time, but for me, it is all about the thrill of the hunt, not just the pickups, but we'll still go through them now. So first off, we have a couple of records I picked up from the Carboot. So we have the Top Gun original motion picture soundtrack, and one absolute banging soundtrack this is. You've got, of course, Danger Zone. You've got Take My Breath Away, and of course Playing with the Boys, an absolutely iconic soundtrack. But when we talk about iconic soundtracks, there is not many more iconic soundtracks than that of the Fallout game series, and that heavily includes the ink spots. And honestly, if you're going to listen to kind of Fallout style music, what better way to do it than listening to it on vinyl? Our final pickup this time is from the Carboot, and it is this amazing keyboard for Rock Band 3. Now, I remember back in the day, these were hard to get. You could see the guitars everywhere, but you never saw the keyboards. And the same was true at the Carboot. When the kind of Rock Band and Guitar Hero fad died down, people were selling these plastic instruments dirt cheap. But now, fast forward a couple of years, and these are getting harder and harder to find, and some of these are starting to command a pretty decent price. Now, when I first saw this, I wasn't quite sure which console this was for, but it does say on the side for the Nintendo Wii. But once I open this up in a minute, you'll see this is definitely for the Nintendo Wii, which is a shame, as if it had been the Xbox 360 version, it would have been worth a little bit more money. So opening this one up, you can see here we have the instructions. Now, I didn't actually pick these up when I was looking at it. Underneath is a copy of the game, and if I slide this out, you will see it is, of course, when I get there, the Wii version of this game, which is a bit of a shame because at the end of the day, if I play Rock Band, it's normally on the Xbox 360, but to be able to still find this at a Carboot is really, really cool. This tale has a strange twist though. So when I was looking at this at the Carboot, I was of course looking at it because I wanted to add the keyboard to my collection. But it is in fact the game Rock Band 3 for the Nintendo Wii, which is a surprise win here, as this commands a decent price, especially to trade into CEX. I'm just guessing just because more people picked up Rock Band 1 and Rock Band 2. By the time Rock Band 3 came out, the franchise was kind of on its last legs and sadly dying, so I expect this just got a less print, so it's a rarer game and thus commands a higher price. It was generally a really nice surprise, so definitely keep your eyes out for Rock Band 3. There we have it then, folks. That was another live game hunting episode and another instrument added to my Rock Band and Guitar Hero collection. But let me know in the comments down below, do you still own the full band? I'm talking the guitar, the drums, the microphone, and even the keyboard. Let me know in the comments down below, as I, for one, still love rocking out with these awesome instruments. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe, and as always, keep playing the game. See you all soon.